Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into, well, a really fundamental idea based on the sources you shared with us. It's about this powerful sequence, the events in our lives, and the absolutely central role our choices play.
Yeah, and it's not just like abstract philosophy, is it? It's about seeing that what happens fundamentally comes down to the choices we've made.
Exactly. And we've got this great stack of articles, plus your own notes, to guide us through it.
And our mission here, really, in this deep dive, is to pull out the key insights from this material, specifically for you. We'll look at that sequence, how choices kind of shape our reality. Then there's the power you have, the power to choose differently, especially when things, well, aren't working out. And finally, shining a light on those internal roadblocks that often stop us, so you can see them maybe and figure out how to step over them.
Okay, so let's start right there. This pretty bold statement. Everything happening in your life right now, you've chosen it. I
Yeah.
mean, that can feel a bit confronting, right? Especially if you're going through tough times. What do the sources actually say about this as a foundation?
Well, diving into your sources, one thing that jumps out straight away is this powerful, maybe even challenging idea that every single thing in your life right now isn't just fate. It's presented as a direct result of your own choices,
Every single thing.
according to these sources. Yeah. And as you actually highlighted in your notes, this definitely includes the parts that feel difficult or, unwanted.
So it's not just the good stuff we chose. The hard experiences are part of that too.
That's what these sources suggest, yes. It's framed as a consequence, like a chain reaction, causality. One article really emphasizes that the principle that every action, every single decision you make leads to a result. It creates something.
Right.
The example in your notes about, say, choosing to leave a job, that really illustrates it. That specific choice, if you make it, will cause definite changes, tangible shifts in your life.
Cause and effect. Personal cause and effect.
Exactly that. Like you're building your life choice by choice, and each choice brings a result.
Makes sense.
And your material positions this not just as like an interesting idea, but as a core concept in things like positive psychology, self-development. It's fundamental to understanding your own agency.
Okay, that really lays the groundwork. So if today is built on yesterday's choices,
Mm.
what happens when we find ourselves somewhere we really don't want to be? What's the immediate next step, according to this material?
Well, this is where the really empowering part comes in, I think. If you're in a situation that just isn't serving you, if you don't like something about your current reality, the core message is you have this inherent power, the power to choose anew.
Choose anew.
Yeah, you're not sort of permanently stuck with the results of past choices. You can make a different one today.
That phrase itself, choose anew, it really shifts the feeling, doesn't it? From feeling trapped to feeling, well, capable?
It absolutely does. And it ties straight into this concept that's highlighted in your sources, internal locus of control, which is basically the belief deep down that you are the primary influence on your life's outcomes through your actions, your choices.
Right. As opposed to believing everything is just external forces or luck or other people controlling things.
Exactly. Believing you're at the wheel, not just, getting blown around.
Yeah.
And the research you included points out that nurturing this belief, it's linked to really positive things, more happiness, success, handling challenges better, resilience. It connects to that fundamental human need for self-determination. We need that freedom, that ability to make decisions. It makes us feel more empowered, more alive.
That makes total sense. Even just feeling you have a say in how you respond to something difficult, that changes the whole dynamic.
Completely. And a really critical way this power shows up, according to the notes, is through choosing not to accept something.
Choosing not to accept. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it's not about giving up or being passive. It's an active decision. It's deciding to step away from situations that are draining you or compromising your well-being or maybe just don't align with your values anymore.
So it's like drawing a line, saying no to what's actually diminishing you.
Precisely. It's framed as a really powerful form of self-protection, self-respect even. Your material really emphasizes that choosing not to accept something undesirable is often the necessary first step to open the door for something better, something that does fit the life you want.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. This power to choose anew, it doesn't mean we can magically control everything outside of us, right? You can't just choose for the economy to suddenly boom or choose for someone else to change how they act.
No, absolutely not. And that's a really crucial distinction the sources make. It's not about becoming some kind of puppet master of the external world. It's fundamentally about using your internal capacity,
Okay.
choosing how you respond,
Yeah.
choosing where you put your energy, making decisions that are actually within your sphere of influence.
Right. Which brings up that specific scenario you mentioned in your material, which I think a lot of people can relate to, worrying about leaving a job, for instance, and how it might impact your coworkers, like
Mhm.
making their workload heavier.
Ah, yes, that concern, the feeling of pushing the burden onto others. Your sources are actually quite clear on this and compassionate too. They acknowledge that empathy, that feeling for your colleagues, is a good quality. Of course it is.
Good.
But they firmly state that you are not ultimately responsible for your coworkers' workload, and you're not responsible for how the company manages its resources or, adapts to your departure.
Even if it feels like you are in that moment.
Even then, the material points out that your colleagues, just like you, have their own right, their own power to choose how they respond to their situation. So, your choice to leave. In this context, it's framed less as burdening them and more as a necessary act of protecting yourself, your own well-being.
Which, according to these sources, has to come first.
That's the emphasis, yes. Your primary responsibility is to make choices that honor your own path, your own well-being. Their situation is theirs to navigate within the system they're in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That clarifies things.
And then, once you've made that choice, especially a tough one, there's another powerful point in your notes. You don't actually need to justify it or explain it, not to anyone else, not even really to yourself, beyond knowing it's right for you.
Really? No need for explanations.
The key idea is to take all that energy you might spend on second-guessing or justifying or worrying what others think
Right.
and just redirect it. Put it all towards building the new thing you've decided to create.
Choose, then build. That sounds incredibly freeing. Forget the explanations, just move forward.
It really is freeing, and this ties into another quite profound insight from your material, the idea of no limitation and equal power.
No limitation, equal power. What does that mean?
The sources state pretty directly that everyone possesses equal power, innately. The difference isn't in having the power, it's in learning how to access it, how to use it effectively.
So the potential is the same for everyone.
Yes, and there's, quote, no limitation to this inherent capacity that's within you. It's just waiting to be claimed, essentially, and learned.
Wow.
And when you consciously make choices that align with what's best for you, even big ones, like ones involving money shifts or career changes, your sources frame these not just as, practical steps, but as huge opportunities for growth and learning.
How so?
Well, they push you, don't they? Push you to find creative solutions, to plan differently, maybe develop new skills you didn't know you needed. They turn these challenges into tests that can actually strengthen you if you approach them with that belief in yourself, with wisdom.
Right.
The ability to actually, say, create financial freedom through your choices. That's even highlighted as a sign of really significant internal change.
So a decision that feels scary isn't just about the immediate result. It's also a catalyst.
Yeah.
A catalyst for internal growth.
Yeah.
For aligning with your values and moving towards what the sources call long-term freedom and true happiness.
That's precisely the connection your sources make. It's a pathway, a path towards more autonomy, realizing your potential, all through making conscious choices.
Okay, this is really powerful. We've established this foundation. Life stems from choice. And we have this incredible equal power inside us to choose anew, to say no to what doesn't serve us. So given all that power, why? Why do we so often feel completely, utterly stuck? Why do we stay in jobs, relationships, situations that drain us, even when intellectually we know we could choose differently?
Yes. This is where your material really turns the focus inward. It starts identifying these significant internal obstacles, things that act like invisible chains almost, holding us back, even though the power to choose is technically there.
Right. The list in the sources was pretty comprehensive. What are some of the main ones, the big internal blockers?
It was quite a list,
Yeah.
and I think understanding how these things work inside us is the crucial first step to getting past them. Maybe instead of just listing, we can look at how they block that power to choose.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so a major one, obviously, is fear of failure. It's that dread, isn't it? Investing time, energy, maybe your reputation, only for it not to work out like you hoped. It's that inner voice worrying about disappointment or embarrassment. And that fear alone can make just making the choice feel totally impossible.
So the fear of the potential result actually stops you from even making the choice in the first place.
Exactly. Then, maybe a bit less obvious, is the fear of success.
Fear of success. That sounds strange.
It does, but it's real. It's not about not wanting good things to happen. It's more about the anxiety around what comes with success. New responsibilities, maybe, higher expectations, the way your life might change. Sometimes staying stuck feels, well, safer than facing the demands of actually succeeding.
Wow. Being afraid of things actually working out. That's a powerful blocker.
It really is. Your sources also highlight the fear of the unknown. Classic one. That deep discomfort with leaving what's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable for something uncertain. The known pain can feel safer than the unknown possibility.
Yeah, better the devil you know.
Kind of like that. And closely linked is the fear of judgment and criticism. We can spend so much energy worrying about what other people, family, friends, colleagues will think if we take a different path. Especially if we, stumble or fail along the way.
So what others might think becomes an internal cage.
Exactly. It gets internalized and it paralyzes you. Then there's perfectionism. The belief that there's one single perfect choice out there, and you absolutely have to find it before you can possibly act, which of course leads straight to decision paralysis. Too many options, or the pressure for perfection means you end up choosing nothing. You just stay put.
I can definitely relate to that one.
It's very common, and underneath a lot of these often is a fundamental lack of self-confidence, or what the sources call self-efficacy. It's just not believing deep down in your own ability to actually handle the path you choose, to achieve what you want. And that often stems from past negative experiences, right?
So past failures or difficult times can create this kind of blueprint of doubt that limits your future choices.
They absolutely can. Your material also mentions social and cultural conditioning, that subtle or sometimes not so subtle pressure to fit in, to conform to what society or your family or your culture thinks a good life or a responsible choice looks like. Stepping outside that feels risky.
Like you're letting someone down or breaking some unwritten rule.
Precisely. And while the sources bring up practical things like financial insecurity or the impact on others, like that coworker example,
Right.
those practical concerns often get amplified by these deeper internal fears. Fear of failure if the money doesn't work out, fear of judgment from people you care about if your choice affects them. It all intertwines.
It really is quite a complex web of internal stuff going on.
It is. But here's the crucial takeaway from your sources on this. These fears, these obstacles, they don't mean you can't choose. That's not the message. The message is these are identifiable things. You can see them. The intro to this section in your notes actually uses the phrase, look at and step across these fears.
Look at and step across.
Yeah, to move towards the life you actually want. Recognizing them, seeing them clearly. That's the first absolutely vital step in taking away their power over you.
So it reframes them. They're not impenetrable walls. They're more like hurdles. Hurdles you can learn to clear once you actually see them properly.
That's a great way to put it. Knowing these potential obstacles means you can start addressing them consciously instead of just being, pushed around by them without realizing it.
Okay, so let's bring this deep dive full circle then. Based on everything we've unpacked from your specific sources, what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now?
Well, I think it means really internalizing this deep connection between the choices you make and the reality you live in, day to day. It's about starting to see that you're not just sort of passively reacting to life as it happens. You are actively shaping it through your decisions, whether you make them consciously or sometimes unconsciously, and realizing you have that inherent power, the power to choose anew, to step away from things that aren't working for you, to consciously direct your energy towards building something different.
And knowing that the path isn't always going to be easy.
Right. But recognizing those common internal fears, those pressures we just talked about, that's the key to navigating them effectively. It's not about them not existing, it's about knowing how to handle them.
So it shifts the whole perspective, doesn't it? From feeling like life is just happening to you to understanding that actually life is unfolding by you, moment by moment, choice by choice.
Yeah.
And seeing those fears isn't about feeling bad or overwhelmed. It's about understanding them as obstacles you can learn to move beyond.
Exactly that. It's fundamentally an empowering perspective. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your own life, equipped to navigate the bumps and consciously build the reality you want.
This has been a really powerful deep dive, I think, exploring this sequence of choice and consequence. We've seen how life really does seem to stem from our choices, looked at that incredible equal power we all apparently have to choose again, and then identified those really common internal barriers, the fears, the conditioning that can keep us feeling stuck, even when we know somewhere inside that we do have that power.
Yeah, and your sources really wrap it up with a potent summary, don't they? A statement that kind of captures the absolute core of this. It says, the highest potential of humans is the potential to choose. We can always choose how to act and how to think. No one dictates our life but ourselves. Choice is ours, a birthright.
Choice is ours, a birthright. Wow. That's definitely a thought to just sit with for a moment. If choice truly is your birthright, this equal power you already possess, what does that fundamental truth really imply for your life right here, right now? How much you choose to wield that power next?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.